It's Jack here. Today we're going to go over the process to change your oil on your Equinox Diesel. These vehicles were made from 2018 and 2019 model years only. Let me start by saying I'm not a certified mechanic, but the oil change procedure is documented in your owner's manual. You follow those steps. This video is just to give you a little more instruction on what the tools you need and where things are actually located. When you get underneath, there's a couple other things you'll need to know. We'll go over those steps right now. First thing you need is the proper oil filter. I'm using AC Delco part number PF2264G. Inside the box is the oil filter and the replacement gaskets. This vehicle requires Dexos 2 oil. I use the Pennzoil Platinum Euro L full synthetic, and the weight must be 5W30 for this vehicle. Three tools that you're going to require to do this are a 24mm socket or 24mm wrench, a 6mm Allen key, and a 15mm wrench for the oil plug and the cross member. You'll also want to have an oil drain pan. It's also nice to wear some protective gloves while you're working with engine oil. Before starting, make sure your car is properly blocked. In this case, I'm using drive-up ramps. Also set your emergency brake and put a block of wood behind your rear tires. Doing your oil change, you want to start from the top and work your way down. So here on top we have two elements we want to work with. One is the oil filler cap and the other is the dipstick. We'll start with the oil filler cap and we'll remove it. And the dipstick, you just want to move it up out of the way. So underneath the car we have a 15mm oil drain, and this is the oil filter cap. This is where you'll use the 6mm Allen wrench. Now to get this oil filter out of here, this crossbar needs to be moved out of the way. There are two fasteners for the crossbar. One is over here on the right side, the other over here on the left side. Now we've already loosened the left side. We'll just move this up and out of the way. Be careful with the exhaust. If it's hot, you might burn yourself. The exhaust pipe is right here. Be careful when you're doing this because oil will shoot out. So put the pan underneath where the oil will go. Here I've got it just directly below and further out where it'll shoot out. Be very careful with this. The engine oil may be warm or hot. Next thing we want to use is a 6mm Allen wrench to drain the oil filter before we remove it. After you release the pressure on the oil filter, more oil will come out, so be careful, as we just saw here. Once most of the oil is dripped from the oil filter, you're going to want to take it out. Be careful, there's still going to be oil in the oil filter. Keep your drip pan below it. As you twist this off, more and more oil is going to come out. So have some towels handy. It's also handy to have plastic bags available to put the oil filter directly into once you remove it from the car. Just loosen this up a little bit more. See if we get any more drainage or not. We'll just take it out. We just removed the oil filter from the vehicle. I drop it into a plastic bag to make it less messy. We're going to remove the oil filter from the housing and put the new oil filter in. Okay, once you pop that off there, just remove that. We don't need it, we'll throw it away. We need to remove this O-ring. You can use a small screwdriver or you can use a pick like I have here. There's a groove on the oil filter cap. You just pop it up there and remove that. A lot of times this will just disintegrate in your hands. This time it didn't. Also on the end of the oil filter cap is where we remove the 6mm hex fastener. There's an O-ring there. We're going to want to remove that also. Now we're going to take this, we'll go clean it up, and we'll be right back. The new oil filter came with this gasket set. The small O-ring goes on this, and a large O-ring goes around where we remove the other one. We'll do that right now. Okay, first things first, we'll get the O-ring on, and that just rolls right on there. Make sure it's seated all the way around, and it is. And we're going to take that and replace it in here. Get it finger tight. And then we'll use our 6mm Allen wrench to tighten it up. Tighten it till it's snug. There it is. Don't over tighten because you may crack the plastic. Second thing we want to do is put the blue O-ring around the outside. Again, we'll just roll that around and it'll just pop right in. Make sure that's seated all the way around. You're good to go. Lastly is the oil filter. It'll pop right into the middle. Push it until you feel the thing snap. Just like that. On the drain plug, you're going to want to replace, there is a blue gasket that goes around the middle here. This one fell apart, and I also noticed that the last person who I had changed the oil rounded the head a little bit. So what I did is I went out and bought a new oil drain plug, and it has the seal already there. They're made by Dorman, and the part number is 90948. I'll leave a link to the description down below. These are available at Amazon for about $30, and you do get 5 of them. So you can see the engine oil's pretty much been drained. So what we're going to do is we're just going to wipe everything down. And what I like to do is go backwards of how I started. So the last thing that we did was the oil filter. That'll be the first thing we put on. Then the drain plug, then the crossbar, and then we'll go back to the top. So the oil filter, go straight up. And we just bring it hand tight. For now, we'll wipe this down one more time. And we take the oil drain plug, get that going. Get that hand tight. Then we'll go around, we'll tighten that. Okay, so we've got the oil filter into torque specs. We've got the drain plug into torque specs. Now we need to do the connector arm, and then we'll move ourselves to the top. Top of this video, I had mentioned not removing the dipstick fully. The reason for that is if I were to walk away, take a break, and forget where I was in the process, with this dipstick halfway up, I know that I haven't finished with the bottom yet. Worked ourselves from the bottom of the car to the top. I know everything's secure and fastened down there, so now I'll remove the dipstick. Before removing the dipstick, make sure you have a shop rag available, because there might be some oil still on the dipstick. You'll wipe that off and just set it off to the side. When you're putting the funnel in, you'll want to go at an angle, because straight down there's something there that blocks it. So go in at an angle and you'll be fine. Five quarts in, I let the oil settle down to the bottom. We'll check the dipstick, and then we have a single quart off to the side that we're going to use just a little bit out of that to top it off. On the side of the bottle, if you've never noticed it before, there's a measurement, and I'm going to go off this measurement to put approximately the right amount in, and then we'll measure again. I go a little bit at a time. And that is perfect. Place the dipstick, remove the funnel, wipe it off, take our oil filler cap, put it on there, get it off a little bit. Last thing you'll need to do is to reset the oil life on your car. To get to this menu, it's on this arrow. You can go up or down until you get to the oil life menu. You click the right arrow, and then you'll see where you have the option to reset. You'll say reset. It says, are you sure you want to? You click yes, and give it a second. It goes to 100%, and your oil change is complete. Remember, after draining your oil, to properly dispose it at a recycling center. I'll leave a link below for recycling centers in the US. Also in the link description down below are the various tools used on this project. If you like this video and found it informative, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for future content, and we'll catch you on the next one.